Bonjour et bienvenue sur le blog conceptionuniverselle.com. Je suis Cathy Karoff et aujourd'hui dans cette vidéo, j'ai le plaisir d'accueillir Mickael Richards. Celui-ci travaille actuellement à l'amélioration de l'aménagement du mobilier urbain de quatre parcs zoologiques en Angleterre. Et il a intégré la conception universelle dans ses principes d'aménagement. Cette interview est en anglais. Et je vous demanderai donc un petit peu d'indulgence vis-à-vis de mon accent. Et puis vous retrouverez la traduction et la transcription texte sous cette vidéo, comme d'habitude. Très bien. So, Mickael, welcome to conceptionuniverselle.com.
Thank
Can
you.
you please explain to me who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, I'm a PhD student at the University of Salford, which is in the United Kingdom.
All right.
And my research relates to accessible street furniture, specifically within zoos or zoological gardens. And it's a part-time PhD, and it's running from 2010 through to 2015. And that really sums up what I'm doing at the moment.
All right. And so why did you decide to use universal design in your project?
Well, the decision wasn't whether to use universal design, it was more where to use it. So I wanted to use it as an analytical tool, and it was about where to do that. And as zoos offer a unique opportunity to educate people about conservation, I felt it was very important that the largest possible percentage of people had access to that message.
Very interesting. And so how did you do it?
Okay, well, zoo street furniture has been analysed using universal design thinking. So, for example, in zoos you'll commonly find signs that say "do not feed the animals", and in a lot of zoos these are just text-based.
All right.
So, using universal design ideas or principles, it's now been suggested that this message should be put forward using standardised imagery, so that people who, say, can't read the English writing on the signs can still understand the message.
Exactly. Like foreigners and not only disabled person with reading capacity.
Of course, yeah, just to generally increase the number of people who can get that message. Because, of course, it's an important message, because if you feed animals the wrong food, they can die.
Exactly. And how long did it take to you to implement the universal design in your work?
Well, as previously mentioned, universal design is the foundation for the research, so it was there from the start. What's taken the time has been to explore its relationship with the nuances of zoo street furniture and determining which issues are specific to zoo street furniture and which ones are more general for any outdoor environment.
All right. And have you been able to see a difference of perception with the users? How did they interact with all the recommendation?
Yeah, well, one of the aims of the research has been to produce guidelines that zoos can use when they install new street furniture. And that, of course, happens gradually rather than overnight. It doesn't happen suddenly.
Exactly.
Using a particular example, staff at the Welsh Mountain Zoo have embraced the concept when it was put forward to them and changed the way they do things. So, for example, they installed a new sign to warn visitors about a steep slope. And in the past, similar signs had just used text. Now, based on the guidance that was given to the zoo, the new sign they put in place uses a pictogram. So even if you can't understand the English writing, you still get the message that this is a dangerous steep slope. So that's come about as a result of the research. That's what the staff have done. An example of visitor feedback also comes from the Welsh Mountain Zoo. And what we did there was conduct an experiment, and two temporary signs were put in place. And they were both directional signs pointing towards the brown bear enclosure at the zoo. Now, one of the signs displayed a photograph, and one of them displayed a pictogram.
Okay.
Now, the data collected showed that people preferred the photograph, and that's relevant because the photo helped people to establish species type. So, for example, the pictogram could have been a brown bear, a black bear, a polar bear. It could have been any of those. So photos in the zoo context allow people who can't read supporting text more information about species type.
Excellent, excellent. That's good result actually. It's good to know. Excellent.
Thanks.
And have you been able to identify if those zoological garden receive more visitors, or if they are enjoying, of course, more the way of using those parks?
It's quite clear that more accessible zoos or more accessible street furniture means that the zoos can cater to the needs of the wider population, and in turn they increase visitor numbers and increase visitor satisfaction. The research I've been doing hasn't focused upon gathering that kind of data at this stage. There's many avenues which may be explored in the future. That could be one of them, but that's not something I've been doing at this time.
Well, it's already good. And so, what's the next step?
Well, focus has been placed on exploring those issues which are specific to zoos.
Yeah.
And it's logical because best practice guidance already exists for things such as accessible bench height or accessible litter bin height, and that information is directly applicable to zoos. So you can take what already exists and say, well, this works in a zoo, we'll apply it directly. Whereas other issues, such as what I mentioned before about do not feed signs, they require a specific focus that's particular to zoos. So that's where the research is looking at things at the moment, those things that are specific to zoos.
Okay. Well, what did you learn about this experience?
What have I learned about the experience? Can you just expand a bit more on that question?
Well, you think, for example, don't you think you can apply this technique in museum, for example? Pictogram, pictures.
Of course, some of the guidance, as I said, is applicable to other environments, particularly parks or theme parks, that type of thing, other outdoor environments mainly. But what's most interesting to me is that which is specific to zoos, so that's what we're looking at, and that's where we're learning the most original research outcomes from. The originality is important for the PhD research, of course, and so it's focusing down on those things that are particular to zoos. In terms of using universal design in a project, without it there wouldn't be any research, and it has been successfully utilised as a tool for analysis in the outdoor environment, and most importantly it's provided an aim and objective that's positive for the zoo-going public.
Exactly. Very good. Well, thank you very much. J'espère que vous avez apprécié cette interview et que vous l'avez aussi trouvée aussi intéressante que moi. Si c'est le cas, n'hésitez pas, partagez-la en le faisant savoir sur Twitter et sur Facebook. Vous retrouverez les petits boutons j'aime, etc. en dessous de cette vidéo. C'était Cathy Karoff et merci et à très bientôt sur le blog conceptionuniverselle.com. Thank you.